All right, welcome back to My Life, Sam Radford. On this episode, we have Hayward, California legend Frank Stacks, aka Frank Jones. Thanks for being on, man.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, so it's funny. To stem this interview, like to how it kind of got started, was years ago. I was asking Frank to watch my battles, as every battle fan does, like in the early ages, and he had sent me a message back. I think this is in like 2011, and I was like, "Hey, man, watch my battles," and you're like, "Sign my tits," and then we sparked a relationship, and then a couple years ago from now, from 2021, in 2019, we had a little banter in between each other because of the Warriors Raptors playoff run. But yeah, it's great to have you on, man.
Yeah, and on that, like I always try to because battle rap community is weird, bro, because it's one of the only I don't want to say sports, but like I don't really know what to classify it, but it's one of the only things where people can actually interact with the fans more than anything else. So people always hey, hit me up, check out my battle and or check out my music, and I really do try to do that and give them feedback on shit. You know what I mean? Like um a lot of other motherfuckers are like, "Oh, I'm too good for you to fucking, I'm so and so, and I do this and that or whatever." But at the end of the day, it's like, bro, you ain't doing shit anyways, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen to the man shit. And I've heard stories about other, battle rappers and shit where fans are so fucking pussies when it comes to, hey, you want to check out this track I made? They say no, and then all of a sudden they're not their fan anymore. But if they did that to Lil Wayne or Drake or some shit, like Drake's not even gonna be able to inbox them back regardless. So I'm like, I always kind of took that stance on it. Like, if somebody hits me up, dude, I'm not gonna disregard them. You know what I mean? So sign my tits, bro. You know what I mean?
Exactly. 10 years later, maybe I finally will over
Yeah.
the Zoom call. But yeah, well, what I want to say, like, so I've had all the legends on, but to me, Frank is a different legend in himself because he's like been this character in the battle rap world for years without even barely battling. And like, for instance, I was watching some there was a title match in 2016 for King of the Dot where Caustic had a title match versus Roan, and he had Frank in the vlog, and that to me is like one of the funniest battle rap content things like to this day. But we'll get into that more. First off, Frank, man, what was it like growing up in Hayward?
I don't know. I guess it's something that you don't really think about till you get older. You know what I mean? Like, you don't think about your surroundings and what they mean to you until they've made an impact on you. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Like, when you're a kid, you're just a kid. You're just going through the motions of being a kid and having friends and going to school and doing whatever the fuck your parents tell you to and all that shit. But in hindsight, looking back at how growing up in Hayward formed me, like, just Hayward is a very unique place. Like, they call it the heart of the Bay, right? So it's kind of in the middle of the Bay. It's right across from the West Bay, like the way all of our bridges are laid out. Like, we're right across. Like, when you're in Hayward, you can go up to the top of the hill and you can see the whole Bay Area from Hayward. And Hayward is like also like kind of like a melting pot. It was one of the first cities in California, if not the first, that integrated like basically interracial community. And it was done where a lot of and by the way, my mom used to drive school bus for Hayward, like before I was even born. So she was telling me these stories about how there'd be this neighborhood, that neighborhood, but then they all kind of got like mixed together where every neighborhood would have Japanese, Chinese, Mexican, black, white, Filipino, Korean. And so growing up as a kid, all of my friends were all of those things, and it gave me a different perspective, like, especially as I started getting older and seeing like the cultural differences in everybody, how we're all the fucking same anyways. And growing, I know a lot of people that never grew up in areas like this at all, even cities that are a little bit close by, but right outside of Hayward, it wasn't like that back then. It was all one. Every neighborhood was one, like type of people or whatever, however you want to say it. So for me, it was like growing up in this melting pot that the least amount of my friends was white. None of us were black or white or Mexican. We were just all the same dude. It wasn't until you get older when you start hearing people talk all that race shit and everything. So like race didn't really exist when we were younger, and I think the past few years it's kind of made me appreciate growing up where I grew up more, because it gave me a better perspective on all the bullshit that's going on today, and having all of that cultural diversity in Hayward. really contributes to who you are, and like especially like comes to music, and it just was like more natural. I feel like a lot of people in Hayward were making music. Like almost everybody you met was either rapping or in a band or played a guitar or did some type of shit. And music was just a huge part of Hayward. There'd always be live performances downtown, like all kind of shit, like forever. So like Hayward is like a really special place.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I like that. And like it's great to touch on that as well. See, for me it's a bit different is I grew up in small villages, but mainly white in Canada, like on the outskirts of towns or cities.
White
And I
people got
was
teepees? Y'all living in teepees?
no, I was just lucky to not have hillbilly parents or conservative parents. Like
Yeah.
our parents were teaching us about the outside world. So when we went there, it wasn't like a shock. And I find a big thing is like rural communities that are just one race think life is kind of what it is within that one place, and like they don't like anything outside of it. Like my dad always told me, if we're just like on the topic of like racism and shit, like all these people that are ignorant and all this stuff, it's always fear. It's fear of not knowing and shit like that. That's
Right.
kind of what it's chalked up to be.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost impossible for somebody to learn it if they didn't already. You know what I'm saying? You can't, if you're already established as an adult person, you're not gonna go and realize like how you grew up was wrong or right or whatever. That's just how you grew up. So that's why I feel like I said, like I feel like I'm lucky because it gave me just different perspective, and I appreciate that perspective. So I'm happy that I grew up where I grew up and around the people that I grew up around.
That's awesome, man. Here's a really random one, but something to get into it. What's like a meal you remember as a child? Like what's something that like you would eat? Maybe if it's not the exact meal right now, but you take a bite of it and you remember like after school or some shit like that.
I mean, this is fucking really weird to say, but motherfucking Taco Bell, bro.
Mm.
Like my junior high served Taco Bell.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah, my junior high served Taco Bell, and it was like always a day old. And they get it like the day before, and they heat it up. But something about that day old motherfucking Taco Bell burrito just hit different. Like it was just a whole nother. Every day at school, you can't wait to go get that fucking Taco Bell burrito, And now I can fucking DoorDash the motherfucking Taco Bell to the house, which I need to not be doing as much. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna get the instant shits. But it's I could ride my bike to the Taco Bell. Everybody always wanted to meet up at the Taco Bell. There was an arcade right by the Taco Bell. But yeah, even today, like I was talking to my brothers about this shit. There's a it has to be like burritos and Mexican food, because there's a spot. My brother just texted me. He was over there in Hayward. There's this spot in Hayward called Sonitas. They got a drive-through. It's a Mexican restaurant, but it's got a drive-through.
Oh, sweet.
It's not fast food. It's not like Taco Bell. It's like the real Mexican food. And they got a fucking drive-through, bro. And it's literally the best shit ever. And when I was a little kid, when my mom would get off work, she'd get off the freeway and she'd fucking go drive-through and get the damn drive-through Mexican food and bring that shit to the house. And it was just incredible. And it's the same family restaurant. It's still open today. It's been there for, I don't even know, since before I was fucking born. And we still got to go get that shit, man. It's fucking delicious. Sonitas on Tennyson is fucking the best Mexican food around.
Sonitas on Tennyson and Hayward. Let's shout them out, man. Give them some.
If anybody happens to be in Hayward from wherever the fuck you're from, that's a good spot to go.
Hey, man, and you know what I always say too is I was like a professional cook for like 14 years or some shit. Just got out of it, but nothing better than going to like a family run joint where the whole family's there. The food's gonna be good. I don't care if it's a plastic seat or no seat. Food's gonna be fucking good.
Exactly.
So then let's delve into this part, because we'll do like kind of a two-part question, because to me, you're an amazing rapper, but you're also an amazing parody rapper, and you're just a funny ass dude. So what made you first fall in love with music, and what made you first fall in love with comedy?
I did an interview recently where I was asked a similar series of questions that really made me think about that shit. So now that I know and had to think about it, I can tell you right off the top of my head. Comedy was fucking Weird Al, and also the music, right? So in the 80s, when MTV was cracking, Weird Al was really popping. And he was clowning Michael Jackson and, like all the shit. And I was still, as a little kid, 2 or 3 years old, like fucking who the fuck didn't like Michael Jackson? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. My parents didn't, because they were like, oh, that's just whack. But they were old fucking hippies. But I fucking loved Michael Jackson growing up, and I loved Weird Al. And, you get a little bit older, your parents are always listening to, rock and roll or whatever the fuck they're listening to, and you don't really want to hear it. But then as you get older, you realize how dope it was and how much it actually did influence you and all that type of shit. So like for me, it was like really, Michael Jackson, a lot of R&B shit. I liked a lot of R&B shit. MC Hammer, in the 80s, Humpty Hump, Digital Underground, as I got a little bit older, NWA. I mean, if you kind of combine, MC Hammer, Digital Underground, NWA, Weird Al, Michael Jackson, all of that shit, before I was the age of 10 even, that was already fucking influencing me. But it wasn't until Dr. Dre and Snoop started coming out and some of that like more grittier stuff became more mainstream that I really was like addicted to it. And I think a lot of people probably were at that time because all of a sudden they're playing fucking, Dre Day and Gin and Juice on the radio. And it was like normal when before that it was more like the Fresh Prince, which I also was bumping all the Fresh Prince and shit, Naughty by Nature shit. But if you take all that shit and kind of put it into a ball, that's kind of what like made me, you know what I mean?
Man, and like actually that kind of sparks another question too. That's awesome. I love that answer. Can you like kind of talk to me about what your perspective was during those times when the music was progressing? Like, as you say, talking about your parents being more hippies or listening to rock. And like, cause like I saw it in say the mid to late 2000s from my mom when like things like Little Wayne and it was on the air and like all, all of that era, right? Like later 50 Cent and all that shit. And you saw like the not understanding and like almost not wanting to understand. So I've always kind of wondered what the perspective was when it was even more earlier stages.
I had to like, because obviously your parents don't want you listening to music that's like, fuck that bitch and shoot that dude and do drugs and all that kind of shit. But so like Fresh Prince, MC Hammer, those are easy introductions for a parent. Like, hey, I'm listening to this. Even Sir Mix-a-Lot, like Baby Got Back. Like it's funny and it's not really bad, but it's, it's rap and it's like almost acceptable. And like Weird Al had, You Saw My Blinker Bitch, which was a cuss word. We're talking about the 80s, but it was fucking hilarious. I mean, it was rap as a joke. It was basically the original rap as a joke shit. Bismarck, shit like that. So you didn't go straight into NWA. NWA was the shit where your buddy down the street had the tape, and when his parents weren't home, you go slap that shit and be like, "Ooh, this is crazy." My mom actually caught me singing some NWA shit in the shower one time, and she came in and whipped my ass. She thought, but she didn't know what the lyrics were, but I was singing, I don't know if you're familiar with it. I was singing, "Hey, Mr. Dope Man, you think you're slick. You sold drugs to my sister, and now she's sick. And if she happened to die because of your drugs, I'm putting in your culo a 38 slug." And regardless of what I was saying, she thought the shit I was saying was that plus some worse shit because she didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. And here I am in the shower, like 8 years old, singing this shit. She's like, "What the fuck?" And just came in and fucking slipper, whipping my ass. "What the fuck you singing about?" Type of shit. And I'm like, "No, I didn't say that. I didn't say, I didn't say that shit, but I said it." And, I mean, eventually, I think with all parents, they got to get to the point where, you can't fucking, you're not going to be around your kid all the time to fucking influence what the fuck goes in their ear and shit like that. So, I mean, it just kind of developed from, joke, fun, humorous rap to, you hear something with shock value, you're going to be like, "Oh shit, I'm not supposed to listen to this." You know what I mean? And then you want to listen to it even more. Yeah. So it's kind of a combination. I would say that, a lot of the rap is a joke shit. We push every boundary, that we can with just not even just being vulgar, but just like shit you're not supposed to fucking talk about, or shit you're not supposed to joke about, or shit you're not supposed to rap about, or whatever. And that's a big reason, because of all of that, growing up and listening to fucking NWA and sneaking around with the tape and fucking, having your mom whoop your ass because you're not supposed to say that shit and get in trouble. So I think for us, it kind of planted a bigger seed for later on.
For sure. And I mean, I feel like as a fan of you too, and watching you through the years, like you've always had a little bit of NWA about you with like, you're always kind of wearing like a black Raiders jacket or something like that, And
it was not by the design. It was not on purpose either. It wasn't until, lately when people were like, "Dude, you're like the white Eazy-E." You know what I mean? Like,
it's just part of who you were.
All the shit that you talk about and all, and fucking, with the lokes and the fucking hats and the fucking jackets and all the shit. And, you know, it was like, damn, I was like, damn, you're fucking right. Like you subconsciously get influenced by shit all the time. Sometimes I'll write some raps or something, and then later on I'll be listening to some rap that I like from back in the day, and I'm like, damn, he said that because I fucking blatantly stole that line and didn't even think about it. It was just in my fucking head to say it when I fucking said it. I'm like, damn, I've been biting off some of my favorite rappers here and there and not even realizing that I did. You know what I mean? 15 years later or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but I think that just happens, right? Because what is like great artists can recognize great artists, right? So like it's gonna come to you if you're good, right? So actually, let's talk about that because I kind of forgot to introduce that. But like first off, when did you and L Money meet? Which is the other half of Frank's group Rap is a Joke, which I'm sure if you haven't heard of, you're going to watch everything that they've done after this. But how did Rap is a Joke come to be, and when did you and L Money meet?
We went to junior high together with the damn Taco Bell burritos.
Okay, all right. Reference to the Taco Bell, so it's really nostalgic for you. Okay.
Yeah. So, but we were never in any classes together. We were only in detention together. So we never really talked unless we were like, you know, at a mutual friend's birthday party or some shit. And he was just always doing the most. Like I was never trying to get in trouble. He was always trying to get in trouble. And you know, he was just always doing the most. He was in detention a lot more than I was, but when I was in detention, he was always fucking in there. You know what I mean? And detention wasn't like it was on TV or none of that shit. Like our detention was ghetto as fuck. We had a straight like prison guard lady who would physically put hands on you if you got out of line, and it was you're in a little box. You're in a little ass like a closet almost with some little like cubicles that are against the wall, so nobody can look at each other. They give you like extra work to do. You have to sit there all fucking day for however many days you're in detention. It was literally like a little jail cell they had.
Jesus
and the only
Christ.
time you get to go out, the only time you get to leave is after everybody else already had their lunch. Then they let you go outside and eat your lunch, and then when you're done eating lunch, you got to pick up all the garbage from everybody else's lunch.
Holy shit.
So yeah, you didn't want to fucking go to detention. It was not a like sit in class and fucking write letters type of shit. It was like you can't even fucking look at nobody or you're gonna get, she will fucking put hands on you, like straight up. Like she was doing that shit for years until finally some parents complained like maybe 10, 12 years ago, way after I had been gone from there. I seen her take two dudes who were fighting. I mean, she was a monster. What the fuck was her name? I can't think of her name, but she took two dudes who were fighting, took their heads and fucking smashed them together. Like in the movies and shit, like took the two dudes' heads and like stopped fighting and then dragged their asses to fucking detention. And mind you, these kids are like 12, 13 years old, but still, it was like, you know, it was a lot of hood motherfuckers at my school, and she wasn't fucking scared of none of them. She'd fucking snatch up all these kids and throw them against the wall if they were causing problems. So being in detention with L Money, you know, he was a scary motherfucker. He was probably about the same size then as he is now. But then we didn't see each other for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or some shit. And we just both happened to be rapping. And it just, mutual friends, same neighborhood still, all that type of shit. And we both, you know, we were just like, fuck, dude, we're kind of on the same level with the shit. And we don't fucking like nobody else. Let's make a couple songs. And then it just went from there.
And like, okay, so you guys have albums. I think what was to me early on too, because you guys with Rap is a Joke and your features and like the things that would come with your album, the glasses and stuff. Like all of that was very smart business wise early on in like that kind of niche of the culture, right? Let's say the battle rap world. Even though that's funny, I'm saying the battle rap world when you guys weren't even really part of that and what you were doing with the music, but you were associated by association.
Right.
Anyway, one of my favorite things ever is the series you guys did where you fans would pay for features with you guys. And for instance, you had one feature where you would fall in love with the guy, but just what made you guys bring that up? Because other people have done that since then and it hasn't been as good or as authentic. But what brought that to you guys? And like that was just fucking amazing, man.
I mean, we were just pushing the envelope on everything. And it was like, you know, what else could we do that's fucking just outrageous? And you're not going to just go and make a song about incest. So L Money was like, already the ultimate troll. Like we were trolling before trolling was trolling. You know what I mean? And before it was even a fucking term. And he's like, let's Skype these motherfuckers, because everybody wanted to do a song with us, right?
Mhm.
Like back then, like it was crazy. Like a lot of people, and we just never. I mean, we just didn't do it. It wasn't like we didn't have time or whatever. Like people would pay us, hey, could you get on this song? But it's hard sometimes, dude. Like if I'm not feeling the beat, I'm not just gonna throw out, make some garbage. I don't care how much you pay me. I'm just not gonna do it. But when these dudes did it, obviously we did it for free, right? And they had no fucking idea it was coming. And if we knew how dope and funny it would have been, we would have done more. You know what I mean? But now that we did it and we put it out like that in that series, it's like we can't do it again. I wish we had done like 10 or 20 of them. I don't know how many topics we could have came up with. They were like the most outlandish. One of them was incest. One of them was the dude is your boyfriend. And one of them was just the L Money talking about he's in the KKK as a black dude. Like it was like the most ridiculous shit. And we decided both of us doing it was too much. Like we didn't want these to be long, drawn out things, but we wish we did more. And I mean, it went better than we planned. Honestly. But that was all L Money, dude. That was really all him just trying to find another way to be, just a fucking degenerate with the music shit, and get. But the effort that went into it was not minimal. You know what I mean? Like it was still like, I'm gonna make this dope. Like if I'm gonna rap about this, it's still gonna be dope. It's not gonna be some, like these random comedy dudes will do some funny rap shit. And there's no substance to the rap. They don't, it's just whatever. It's supposed to be dumb, but our shit is dumb, but then it's dope. It's like just, so yeah, that's all money. So props to him for doing that shit. I didn't even want to be a part of it. I was like, dude, this is good enough without me. So you can just run it.
It's some of the funniest content for me to go back on, along with battle rap fans, which are most of my fan base. And if not, I'm sure in other fans of mine have heard of Cannabis the rapper. But when battle rap was getting big, there was this huge match where Cannabis, a former like battle rapper on tracks and technically industry rapper, was coming to battle Disaster, who was at like the top of battling at that point. And the battle came out, hell ensued, a lot of things happened from it. But Frank and L Money did a reenactment of this, and as a fan who like knows about everything in between, how amazingly accurate your guys' rendition was fucking hilarious, man. Like
I
what
was just talking about
yeah,
this, like how it came about, because we were at the event, so no one had seen the video, no one had seen the battle unless you were there, right? So it just being in that building when that shit happened, like it was a very awkward experience, because you already know what Disaster does when Disaster does it. Like he's not going to let the crowd down at all, regardless. But you don't know what the fuck Cannabis is going to do. So when Cannabis started going, like we didn't know if he was serious or not, or was he really trying, or was it a joke? I mean, it was so fucking awkward. Every like 10 seconds of silence felt like 45 minutes or an hour. Like it was so weird. And I'm like this close, like I'm in the pit. So I'm where, Avocado and them are filming it and hosting it. I'm right behind Avocado. So I'm seeing this shit like this. And the what do they say? Like the tension is so thick, like you can cut the air with a knife or whatever the fuck. Like, bro, it felt really just nasty. It did not feel good to be in that fucking room the whole time Cannabis is going. And then when Disaster goes, it's like, fuck, then you like kind of feel bad for Cannabis. It's like, damn, this shit's just got to end. Like this shit is not, he got no business being in that fucking ring with Disaster. Like this is a fucking joke. So we left and we went and we partied that night or whatever the fuck we did. And then, on the way home, we drove home and we're like, dude, we gotta make a reenact, because we just kept laughing about the shit, all the shit that he said. It was like we remembered damn near all the shit, because as bad as it was pretty fucking memorable. Like you can't unlearn that shit that you just seen. So as soon as we got back, we just went back, went to the studio and was like, hey, let's make a fucking reenactment out of it. And we waited until they released the actual video to upload ours. And I mean, again, I didn't think that people would think it was that funny. I didn't, after fucking editing the video 100 times and watching it myself 100 times, like I didn't think it was really that funny. I freestyled like almost the whole shit, and we had a couple different takes of what it was, and I just chopped them up and put them together. But the reception of it was crazy. Like I should have fucking had King of the Dot upload that shit. It'd probably have more views than damn near half the battles on there.
It's more entertaining than the Cannabis and Disaster battle. I'll tell you that.
And it's only 7 minutes. It's not a fucking hour too.
That, oh my God. And so what's funny, I'll tell you, is a lot of my friends aren't battle rap fans. Few and far between that, like, you know, you find one, you nod to each other. But I'll show them the Cannabis and Disaster just so I could show them you guys, and just like it's the shit surrounding it too. Like, for instance, Cannabis had his buddy who had like a 6-pack with no shirt on beside him. So you guys had a guy, just a fat white dude with belly hair, sitting right in front of Al Money. And it's so funny because Cannabis is known for wearing sunglasses, which ironically you're known for wearing sunglasses. But
dude, he wore the same ones at that thing. He wore the same exact ones that day. And I was like, damn, that's crazy because I have a box of these. You know what I'm saying?
And when L Money took the glasses off and was cross-eyed, the shit just it kills me, man. Or just like being a fan and watching Disaster, and like, yeah, like everybody loves him and he's amazing, but like the other, like the funny sides to his intimidation factor was so great on that part. Yeah. Like that's why it was so gold, man. So yeah, like speaking of, like, obviously, like to me, like I'm a big fan of your music too, and I find like a lot of the time, like in your music that isn't the parody music is like amazing to me, and it also makes me understand just the brilliant idiot that you are. That's in all the good sense and all the positive sense.
100%.
So yeah, dude, what was it like when you started battling? Because you probably, like, you did. We were talking earlier before we recorded about how you did the rapping Olympics and stuff like that. But like when battle rap was becoming this thing, like this genre, as in like the written format, and then you got like your first battle versus S Rock in the first Grind Time West Coast event. Like, what's your whole look back on that right now?
I don't know, dude. Battling was always a weird thing. Like I feel like most of the times that I ended up doing a battle was because somebody convinced me to do it just because I was in the building spectating. So to give you a little bit more perspective, like there was this event that was held once a month in Oakland, downtown, called Tourette's Without Regrets, and every month they'd have a battle with, you know, everybody from Grind Time West Coast was there usually. In the early years, and I used to just go to watch. Some of my homies do this shit, but then they'd be like, you know, you get a couple drinks and then they convince you to go do it. So then I would go do it. I was more used to, you know, freestyling on the corner or at schools, or, you know, just going around and battling people that's not in any kind of a format. You know what I mean? Just with a, you know, at a party or whatever. So going on stage with the microphone and you know, when like my ego was already like way too big because I've been making music and none of these fools had been, and if they were, it was fucking not, you know, I'm not like a hip hop guy, you know what I mean? Like I'm like I don't like no like hip hop shit. Like I don't even like Souls of Mischief or Hieroglyphics or like none of that. Like I never was a fan of that. I liked hardcore. You know, when I was making music, I liked hardcore shit. You know what I mean? I like mob shit, gangster shit, all that type of shit. So I was just kind of an asshole ego dude because all these battle rap guys were like hip hop backpack dudes, and like I'm just like, you know, like for lack of a better word, that shit was just gay to me. So I didn't really want to battle them because to me at the time I was like, you know, like I said, my ego was way up here. I'm like, I'm not fucking with you fucking nerds. So it, you know, it would take some convincing, but then I was good at the shit. So it was like, well, every time I do it, it ends up, you know, being something that everybody fucking likes. And I wasn't really over the top comical. I didn't try to be funny with it at first either. I was just trying to rap, which isn't always successful when you got a crowd full of like hipsters and you know, hip hop dudes. They want to laugh too. So then you got to like, okay, how do you make everybody laugh? But it wasn't until, you know, I had been doing that for a few years. You know, that's how I met Lushone, Dirtbag Dan, Thesaurus, Ilmac, Passwords. I mean, you fucking name it, Tantrum. I used to go out there with Old Man Miller and Kodiak, rest in peace, Kodiak. We used to go out there every month and do all this shit. But it wasn't until the first Grind Time West when Lush One called me and was like, yo, you know, I want you to come do this battle. And I'm like, dude, I don't really feel like doing it. And he's like, no, it's this new format. It's like the World Rap Championships. There's no beat, all the shit. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this shit. And then he tells me you gotta write the shit. And I'm like, World Rap Championships, they weren't writing shit. If they were doing anything, it was like premeditated. So I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm in the studio. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do none of that. And he twisted my arm for a minute, and then he got a couple other people to twist my arm to finally convince me you need to do this first Grind Time West Coast event. But I still refused to write anything. I didn't want to write nothing down. And long story short, I ended up battling S-Rock. It wasn't supposed to be him. It was supposed to be a friend of his who dropped out. So when all the shit that I had thought of, to say, it kind of went out the window when it changed opponents like the day before. And even on the flyer, they had me as Frank Jones still, like by mistake. Like if you find that old Grind Time West flyer, they put Frank Jones because that's what they fucking knew me as. Still, that's what I was in their phone as, for all those fucking years of doing those open mic battles and shit. So I had to like call them ahead of time, make sure they know, when they introduce me, don't say Frank Jones, say Frank Stacks. And then when I did the battle, Plex, like still just thinking, not even thinking, said Frank Sticks, just because he probably wanted to say Frank Jones, but wasn't used to me being called Frank Stacks, and said Frank Sticks because there is a Frank Sticks. So that whole thing, like we talked about earlier, like it just kind of, I had to like set the record straight, make sure everybody know that I changed the name and all the shit. But even being there for that battling this dude who I wasn't supposed to battle, I wasn't even feeling it. Even in the moment, I wasn't feeling it. Like I wasn't enjoying doing that battle. And you could kind of tell, like, I was mad. Like, I was mad at the dude. I didn't even fucking know the dude. And I wasn't trying to be like, oh, I'm a battle rapper and I'm mad. Like, I actually didn't want to fucking be there. But it came out on video, like, hella well. And everybody fucking loved it. And obviously I won. It was like a one-sided thing. But, shout out to Lushone for forcing me to do that. Because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have got invited to Florida to battle Surgeon General. I never would have got invited to England to battle O'Shea. And so really, like as much people underestimate Lush One's like influence on battle rap, like he really did push a lot of motherfuckers, including myself, to get out of their comfort zone to begin with. Even though he wasn't doing it himself, like he knew the people around him can do the shit, and he could do it too. I mean, he just didn't want to do it. He didn't want to have that role anymore. He wanted to kind of, sit back and get people off their ass to do what they were best at doing. So he was making music too. He was one of the only dudes that was making good music at the time to me that like I could invite him to do a show with us or something like that.
I'm a huge Lush One music fan, which is like a big thing. Like I have in kitchens that I would run back in the day. I had kids who don't know anything about battle rap who know all of Lush One's songs and shit like that. Like it's fucking funny, man. It's what's funny too is I'll show people Lush's music, especially his newer music. And then like they saw like a clip from the interview I had with him or something, like I didn't expect him to look like that or something like that. But like people don't understand how fucking cultured a person is like Lush One. Like this guy knows every upbringing of every type of hip hop in the fucking world. Like it's insane.
Yeah, and people can say what they want, you know what I'm saying, or say, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or say fucking whatever, he's awkward when he's hosting, or whatever they want to say. But at the end of the day, he dedicated everything to this shit. You know what I'm saying?
He's the best to ever do it, man. You get like if you watch old Grind Time events, his intros to battles were sometimes better than the battles themselves.
100%. But he when you put all your energy into something, like, you know what I'm saying, you can't take that away from him. Like as much as people, if anybody want to talk shit, you can't take that shit away from him. And people like me know, who've been around for 20 fucking years with the dude, it's like I know what he did. I know what he started out as. And I know what he, evolved into as likewise he does with me. You know what I mean? And you can't take that shit away from people, but not everybody knows. Some people just jumped on the bandwagon the past 5-10 years and think he's just like a fucking host.
Yeah, they don't understand. He's like, or even like for my nerd fan shit is like, I know him and Organic used to be on message boards together before any of this shit. Like it's so funny to see like battle rap and how like for me as a fan, I thought it started at like this certain point or started at this certain point. But like talking to dudes like you, or even like a dude like Fredo, like Fredo was like, man, I was doing like I was rocking like I was doing shit in the '90s, you know, and like I didn't know about this because I just started watching from when a certain point shit was happening on YouTube. But you guys have been doing this shit for years. Like the Tourette's Without Regrets, I hear different stories from all different guys from the Bay Area about Tourette's Without Regrets and all that stuff.
It is really fucking crazy, bro. And like I wish that one day somebody can make some kind of a real life, like high quality documentary about this shit, because even though I'm not, like you mentioned earlier, I barely ever battled. I barely did anything, right? Like compared to these dudes do 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 battles a year. But that like core group of people who have been around, like I'm talking about, dude, you go back literally almost 20 years. These fools were kids. I remember Passwords was, fuck, man, he might have been like 12 years old or some shit. And he would walk up, just like a little kid wearing whatever the fuck he was wearing with a backpack full of raps, and he would spit the dopest bars ever. And we're like, who the fuck is this little kid? You know what I'm saying? It was fucking Passwords. And he never stopped writing. Like he said he was that little. Like he just had fucking bars. And he was like, they called him like the prodigy and shit back then. And it was everybody, bros. There's not any combination of all those grind time West Coast original dudes who hadn't already battled each other 20 times.
Yeah.
Tantrum and FLO and fucking Illusion Z and like everybody had already been battled each other like 1,000 times. D-Lore,
Franco, Humble,
Franco, like, and we were all, and there'd be house parties with everybody would be there, and we're like fucking 19.
Bo Rat, right?
Dude, hey, bro, and Bro Rat was like my little brother. Like that was like my fucking my road dog back then. Like I was closer with him than anybody. We'd go out to where he's from, this little, like literally like a fucking no-name town with a fucking gold rush tavern type of shit in it, and it was called Bolinas. And we'd go out there, and they had one school, one fucking neighborhood, and we would do shows at that one fucking spot that they had. We'd go do shows with Bo Rat. We'd drive all the fucking way out there in the literally middle of nowhere. So you got people like Bo Rat who, like, he grew up in a straight like no name town, moved to Oakland and just fit in with everybody. Like it was crazy, and we were all fucking kids, bro. Back then it was nuts. Like to see, and everybody's still around doing the shit.
It's wild, man. It's wild to see the shit. Like I think about myself because like I looked at you guys, and I still do, right? Because I'm still like, if you think about me doing a podcast based on you guys, you know what I mean? Not even like current battle rap, like just what I'm into and what I think is like the golden age and all the legends. But like, it's crazy to think like, if I saw myself 10 years ago when I'm trying to get one of you guys to watch my battles, or I'm trying to just tell one of you guys how like I want to buy a t-shirt or some shit, like I could never think that. Like right now I'm just regularly like chatting it up with you, or the other day we were talking about you going to the dentist and my cat puking, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty funny, man. That's what I think is great with it, with like at least that era of battle rap, man, is there's something about it that's never going to go away,
And that's what I was saying earlier about, like this, like our kind of genre, our sport, like the type of people, the type of characters that we are, is that we are accessible. And we're not fucking like I said, we're not Lil Wayne or Drake or nothing. Like we're gonna chop it up with motherfuckers, and we go to these events and we kick it with the fans more than we kick it with the other other rappers and shit. So it's just different. I don't think that I don't know how it is now for all the new dudes. I know a lot of these guys, like their head is too big to kick it with, or to respond to the inbox or whatever the fuck. We came from a whole different era where you're talking to everybody. We didn't have no fucking smartphones and internet in our hand and all that shit back then, and you couldn't fucking pull out your phone and read your fucking shit. Like you had to come off the top of the dome, and you were a kid. You know what I'm saying? So some of us still just have that mentality in terms of like how social we are with everybody.
Well, and so actually, speaking about this, it's so funny because like I always like do a little bit of studying, even though I kind of don't really plan out the interviews at all. I just kind of try to go off the cuff. But I'm looking up your own old battles, and because I'm such a fan of you and everything else, in my mind, I had this perception that you had, maybe a battle at this event or this event or this event, but you battled at the first Grind Time West Coast event, and then you jumped to your next battle at the Broward Beatdown in what town in Florida? Fuck. Starts with a B, right? Oh,
It's
Broward County. I'm
Broward
an
County.
idiot. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I think that's quite a different jump too, because if you look at people who at least traveled, because this is before big interdivisional traveling and battling was, like, you went from a guy who had one battle versus a no name who never ended up doing anything else, and then you got a battle with one of the biggest guys in their division at the time. So like, how did that come about?
I think that, like, again, dude, it was just the way that we socially networked before, there was social network, and me doing that battle and knowing everybody that I knew on the West Coast, and just the positive things that the positive feedback I'm getting from the other dudes in Florida who I never met, Cap Callis, Madness, Jay Biz, Johnny Storm, all of those dudes, and then building relationships with them, like on the phone, or if they came out here for an event, even I wasn't battling at it, I would still be kicking it with them. You know what I mean? And I think just like, it was almost like I didn't have to rap or go to the events as a battler to kind of get everybody's respect. Like I would just go and earn it by just being there. You know what I mean? So when I got invited to Florida, it was like, hell yeah, I want to go to Florida. And it was like, Cap Callis was like, oh, you can stay at my house. Fucking Madness, like, you can stay at my house. Like, it didn't, like, back then, I'm telling you, it was just way different back then. That's why when I watched that Bodied movie, I thought a lot of it was pretty fucking accurate, because that's how it really was back then. You just hop in the car with your homies and go to an event and stay at somebody's house and fucking wake up the next day, and you might rap, you might not, like, but I didn't do any of the Battle of LA, but I went to them. I didn't do any other Battle of the Bay except maybe 5 or 6 or whatever, but I went to them.
Yeah, you did you did Massacre of the Bay with
that was
Caustic,
it.
and I think
MOB
that's it. Yeah,
with a 2-on-2, and it was like, that's a minimal effort thing, but I'm there the whole time, kicking it with everybody. So it was a no brainer once I got the invite from Cap Callis, but it was also who they wanted me to battle. At the time, Surgeon General was like, he was a big deal out there. Everybody fucking loved Surgeon. He was a hometown hero, at the time, and it was just like a no-brainer. It was like, I'm gonna go on an airplane with Caustic and Madness, because Madness actually had moved out here by then, and where all the three of us are gonna go out there, and a couple of us are gonna battle, but we're gonna kick it, and we're gonna kick it for a week. And the battle was like the smallest part of the trip. You know what I mean? Because we're building relationships, but we don't even know that that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? We're just like kicking it, like you did back then. So that was weird, because people do think I have like 100 battles, but I got like fucking 5 or 6 or some shit. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Let's, like, in my timeline, like, as I said, like, I don't have anything written down, but like, just as the weird fan I am. So you have S-Rock, Surgeon General. You do the 2-on-2 with Caustic. You do the hilarious one with Dirt Nasty and Andy Milanakis, and then do you go on to O'Shea just from there?
Yeah.
In England. So that's crazy. I don't think anybody has that type of trajectory in battle rap.
I think I actually did. Yeah, you're right. So that is how it went. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the timeline and if I'm trying to put it together correctly.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't want to, like, I mean, I guess I have to toot my own horn, but it's like, I didn't there. It was like all meat, no bones. You know what I mean? I didn't really waste my time doing anything else, because I did, an S-Rock battle, and that battle got attention from Dirt Nasty, Andy Milanakis, everybody in Florida. So now I'm already building relationships with all these fools. So by the time, a year or whatever goes by, when Dirt Nasty and Andy Milanakis want to come out here, we already know, okay, we're going to make some songs and we're going to do this parody battle. And at the time, we're not even thinking nothing. We're not going to think it's going to get 1 million views, or no, we're just fucking doing it for fun. You know what I mean? But yeah, I did that one around the same time as that 2-on-2. And then it was almost a year later when I did the O'Shea. So there was nothing in between.
Yeah, because it was the summer of 2010, because it would have been the Massacre of the Bay, I think, was in like May of 2010, maybe. And then I remember your guys' video going viral around like July or August or something like that.
Yeah, that's about right. I think it came out in June or something. Yep.
Yeah, I'm a fucking weirdo. Man, it kind of makes me feel bad about myself sometimes when I think about how much I know about.
Well, all you got to do is click on the YouTube. All you do is click on the YouTube and look when it was uploaded.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even need to click. That's how sad it is, bro. I made my girlfriend go into the other room. Trust me, I'm not just I'm not just I'm holding you hostage. But isn't that fun? It's funny to think about that when we talk about how small of a world it is. I have now because like I set goals with this podcast because I interview only people that I think are like legends and shit. I interviewed one of the trips you went on. I've had you, I've had Madness, and I've had Caustic. So fucking 14-year-old Sam went on the trip too.
Yeah, dude.
Uh,
That was a good time back then.
yeah, what was it like? What was it like Madness showing you guys like around Florida and shit? Like
I only remember the part when we got pulled over.
what happened?
We got pulled over. I'm trying to think if it was after the battle. We were in Broward still, and we borrowed Tony's mom's car because we all flew out there, right? So me and Tony and his mom, or me and Tony and his mom, me and Tony and Kostic were in his mom's car. I think that was what it was, because I had hella weed on me, and I don't remember who I fucking got it from. Obviously, I didn't fly with it, but I had hella fucking weed on me, and I was wearing like the biggest fucking baggiest pants ever. And we got pulled over as I was rolling a blunt, and I was in the passenger seat, and it was like multiple cop cars that pulled us over, and they were like ready to take us to jail. It didn't matter. They were so angry, and we didn't know what the fuck we did. I just had to take all the weed and shove it as far in my pants, like down, down the fucking front of my pants. And when I did that, I shoved my arm down and I fucking broke my belt. My fucking belt popped and broke. And I'm like thinking like, fuck, like if I have to get out of the car, my pants are going to fall off. Like that's all I'm thinking. Like I'm not even thinking about getting caught or nothing. I'm thinking about if I get out the car, my pants are going to fall off and they're going to see the fucking weed and shit. So I'm just like, okay, I got to stay in the car. Like even if they tell me to get out, I'm going to make up some story about how I can't get out. So then they start hitting us with that bullshit. Tell us what you got in the car, or let us search the car, or we're going to get the dogs. And I'm like, get the dogs then, because we ain't got shit. So go hurry up, get the fucking dogs. And if they don't have time to, I already know if they don't have time to get the dogs, they ain't getting them. Like they got to get them within like 15 minutes or some shit. They got to have all kind of probable cause. Long story short, they looked up the car, was registered under Tony's mom. So they're like, this isn't your fucking car. So he calls his mom and he goes, here, talk to my mom. And she starts fucking going ape shit on the police and shit, like on the phone. And we're like this whole shit was fucking wild, because they had us pulled over for like 20, 30 minutes. And I'm not getting out the car. I'm not getting the fuck out the car. I hadn't even told nobody that my fucking pants broke. But I had a pack of Swishers and a big ass bag of weed, and it's just sitting on top of my dick in the fucking car. And long story short, whatever, white privilege or whatever the fuck you want to call it, they fucking let us go. And we fucking decided, let's drive back to Orlando, which is like a 3-hour fucking drive. And it's like hella late at night. And we had already been drinking and smoking and shit. We just figured we didn't want to stay in Broward and fucking, like, and wake up in the morning and go back. We just wanted to hurry up and get the fuck out of there, especially after dealing with all that shit. My pants was broken and all the shit, right? So we go to the gas station and we get a bunch of 5-hour energy drinks. And bro, we fucking each drank like 2 of them, motherfuckers, because we knew we didn't want to fall asleep on the drive back. We were so fucking high from them goddamn energy drinks. That shit, we were in the car laughing for 3 fucking hours about the dumbest shit, because we were so tweaked out on them fucking energy drinks, making fun of, like, what the fuck were we thinking? Like, I never even had drank one before. Like, I think they had just came out. Like, they were like a new thing.
It's the straight up the 5-hour little short guys, right?
We all 3 of us like took 2 of them, like pop, because we knew we had to drive like 3 hours back to Orlando. And we had to keep like pulling over to take a piss and like all this shit. My pants were falling off every time I had to get out the car and all this shit. Like, we're just fucking dying laughing the whole fucking time. And that's pretty much how the whole trip was. Like I'm saying, like the battle itself was like the smallest part of the trip that I even remember. And I only remember it because it's on fucking video. But all the other shit that we were doing, I think we had to spend the night at Cap Callis' sister's house one night because we didn't have nowhere to go. And or Cap Callis' brother's house another night. And then we're like doing all this wild shit for like a week and like walking around downtown getting drunk with Tony's brother and shit, just doing all this crazy shit that the battle was like nothing, But then to everybody else, that was like, a big deal, to where, oh shit, now we want to invite Frank to England to battle O'Shea, when really I was just having a hell of fun with my friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And weren't Madness and Caustic at the event in England as well?
Yes.
Isn't that
and
ironic?
They both battled.
And they both battled. There you go, man. So that one trip. So what do you? All right, well, just go on it because I think this is great too. And like I'm gonna send this to Madness and Caustic, and they're gonna laugh about the stuff that nobody else would have gotten. What any funny stories from that trip in England?
No, so that trip was a little bit different because that trip brought my wife with me.
Oh,
Tony has family out there, so he went and stayed with his family. Caustic went out there separately with his girl, but my wife has family out there too. So we went to their house first in Reading, and we did like normal couples like sightseeing shit. So again, the battle was like the smallest part of the fucking trip for me. Like we're out there for like 10 days. We went to Stonehenge, we went to, London, toured London, and I had been out there before a couple times, so like I knew my way around. I had some friends out there, but my wife got family out there. So we stayed at their house for a few nights. We did this, we did that. We went to London, got a hotel, met up with some people that I already knew. They came to the battle, with her. So like we were all like, we were just doing a bunch of shit. When we did museums, we did all the whole shit. So like I was on vacation, you know what I'm saying? And we met up with Caustic, mostly kicked it with Caustic and his girl because they were like staying close to us. So we got go get dinner with them and do like go to a museum or do some sightseeing shit. But I didn't see Madness a lot when I was there because he was doing his wild like rock star shit with his cousin and shit who was also doing music. So we only really kicked it at the event, and there was a couple like little I'll say get-togethers that put on where he invited everybody. He invited everybody out. Like they did a show. There was a show one night, and it was like I think I performed at the fucking show. I forgot about this. I performed at. See, I forgot all this shit. We did a show. We did an actual show where we did our music. The only part I remember is Kruger's performance because it was fucking incredible. But we all did a show. I think I want to say Caustic and Madness performed some songs too. But that shit was crazy to me when I went there because that was the first time meeting all of these British people and like rappers and the fans, and they all knew all my shit. Like they knew all my shit. They knew all my songs. Some of them already had a rap as a joke shirt. You know what I mean? Like I brought extras and I was giving them away and selling them and shit like that. And they were all like, "Well, where's our money? You didn't bring our money." What like shit like that. So that shit was crazy to me. But then I became a fan of that shit too. Like I was like, damn, like I became a huge fan of Kruger. Just like his whole approach to the shit was very rap as a joke-ish. You know what I mean? And then we went another night. They had a Jay Dilla concert, and I know this is going to be crazy, sound crazy to a lot of people, because I guess it was a Jay Dilla concert, but I don't know when the guy died. I don't know. He was obviously dead.
Yeah, I think '09 or something like that.
So I'm outside at the concert, and my girl stayed at the hotel because she was hella tired, and we've been doing hella shit. So I just went by myself. So it's like me and all the Don't Flop dudes were all kicking it, and I don't know shit. Like I don't like I'm telling you, I'm very like I'm a fucking asshole when it comes to I'm no Lushone, and when it comes to like the plethora of knowledge on all music, right? And Lushone talks shit to me all the time because he's like he knows I'm stuck in my fucking zone where I don't give a fuck about Jay-Z, I don't give a fuck about hip hop, I don't like none of that shit. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm not supposed to like everything, and I'm outside with all of these fools, and I guess Jay Dilla had been dead. It was like a tribute concert or something. And I looked at her and I was like, "Hey, when is this Jay Dilla guy gonna perform?" And they were all just like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "What? It's a fucking Jay Dilla on the fucking flyer." You know what I'm saying? I don't fucking know. And they're like, "He's fucking dead, you asshole." I'm like, "Then why? What the fuck?" Like, I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck Jay Dilla is. I don't give a fuck who he produced for. None of that shit. Like, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And everybody just started getting on my helmet. Like, how do you not know? How do you rap and not know who Jay Dilla is? And I'm like, I mean, give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I can't tell you not a single person who performed that night. Apparently, it was hella famous motherfuckers that performed at this. It was a big ass fucking show. Like it was a big venue and all that shit. And I'm like, I don't know none of that. The only shit I remember was kicking it with with all the Don't Flop dudes and everybody that came out for the event and talking shit about this dead producer that I never fucking heard of. You know, that's what I got from it. That's what I remember. I don't remember fucking watching none of the performances or none of that shit. But I remember having hella fun. And fucking taking a taxi back to the hotel and passing the fuck out. But yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. But like it's it's funny in that too is like I asked that follow-up England question, being like, oh, what's another fun like drunk story? But it goes to show that you guys like some of you were smart with this battle rap shit. Like, this is a good opportunity to make a vacation out of this with the
Yeah.
girl. You know what I mean? Rather than
That's
just
why I was always doing it anyways. Like it was just like the battle part is easy for me. I wrote that O'Shea battle in one day. I'm either gonna it's either gonna excite me and I'm gonna get it done, or I'm
and
not gonna fucking do it.
that has 450,000 views too. So just think about like in my head, I'm just thinking about like how hard people put in shit to try to get like 1,000 views. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know if it was for me, if it was a right place, right time, right person type of shit. But you know, I don't regret doing a whole bunch of battles. I feel like I probably could have done one or two more, but at the same time, it's like I feel like my legacy shits on these motherfuckers who do it in abundance, and it's like they oversaturated themselves or something. You know
It's
what I'm
like
saying?
you're yearning. It's like, especially now, like I don't even really watch battle rap anymore. I'm still aware of everything going on. Like I know the whole season one with KOTD. I know Caffeine's an app. I know all this shit. But to me, the biggest thing was like, because I was trying to keep up with shit back in the day as a fan. You know what I mean? So, but then like when other battlers start battling in like little leagues and taking all these, just doing it for the money and shit like that, like that's when you stop watching it. But then like for like whenever you release something, or if you and Al Money release something, you're like, oh, I want that. You know what I mean? I fucking want that right away. Like it's like,
Well, and the thing is too, you got to understand, like a lot of these motherfuckers are doing it for income.
mm-hmm.
Like they need that, however much it is that they're going to get paid. I was always like, look, like I would do it for free or for just my plane ticket. You know what I mean? And I was never, chasing money. I was making music and I was giving it away as a free download. Like it still was available to purchase, and people buy it all over the world and shit. But I would always on my website have a free link to download it, because if you're a fan enough to where you're going on the website and you're buying shirts and you're ordering hats and you're doing all that shit, then if you click right there, you could fucking download the shit for free. And I feel like that worked, because like now you can't, none of my shit's you can't download it for free. You can buy it, like if you go to BandLab, you can buy like all of my shit for like $5 or something. But people still stream and buy all the old shit. But I used to give it away. Like I used to just, here you go. Like, but for these, a lot of, I'd say like at least 90%, 9 out of 10 of these battle rappers, it's like they have to keep battling and do all these small battles and shit for their little $1,000 paychecks or whatever the fuck it is, because they got nothing else to do.
Bro, there's fuck it. You know what? I can't be a pussy. DNA. I hit DNA up for an interview a few weeks ago. I do a whole thing. I just like I did to you before I asked you. I get like how long I've been a fan, how the interview could help other people I've interviewed to legitimize myself. He answered where at. And then I told him again, whenever's good for you. It's on Zoom, easy. Radio silent for like 2 weeks. Hit him up again to try to follow up because people are busy. You understand that. And then I said again, yo, great to do an interview, blah, blah, blah. He said, what time? And then didn't answer. I was like, all right, this guy clearly doesn't give a fuck. But I see him on Instagram every single day saying, DM me if you rap. I'll do a verse for $150. So maybe, like I think he was hoping that I was going to pay him to do an interview. And I'm like, I'm not about that shit at all, man.
Yeah, he's grinding, and people are going to take that bait, right?
Yeah.
Like you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And when that is your, I mean, dude, I work 60 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? I always fucking have. So, but if I wasn't, you better believe I'd be posting those motherfuckers. Hey, I'm knocking out verses.
Yeah.
I got my mic. I'm on, who needs
a verse
for $100?
He was at an event with 50 Cent last night. So clearly the grind is working. But like for people like me, I'm a hater. I'm a natural born hater. So I'm just
good.
like.
So am I.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be. Newsflash, you're supposed to be a hater, because if you like everything, you're full of shit.
You want to know a funny thing is there used to be this twin sisters in my elementary school growing up, and my mom used to get mad at me because I'd leave school and I'd be like, they always fucking smile. I've never seen them not smile. And she'd be like, you got to have a better outlook on the world. I'd be like, fuck that. They don't know what's coming to them, man. Like they're going to be frowning at some point. You know what I mean? But whatever.
I mean, dude, I feel like they're the same way. Like,
yeah.
Always, like anytime I say some shit or post some shit that's like talking shit about whoever the fuck, somebody want to say, oh, well, you're just a hater. And I'm like, bro, how? So, like, let me give you an example. When you go to the fucking store to buy a pair of shoes, right? You don't look at all the shoes and say, man, I like all of these shoes. I want to buy all of these shoes. No, there's going to be one or two pair of shoes that you're like, okay, I like these. The other ones are fucking garbage. You're not going to fucking pay money for those. So yeah, I fucking hate those shoes.
Yeah.
This may be a bad example, but you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no,
you're
bro.
not supposed to like everything. You have a certain taste.
Do you want to know an even further one to me? I'm making fun of the dudes who look better than me wearing the shoes that don't look good on me. But I'm to my girl, I'm like, that guy's a fucking loser. What
Right.
those, look at those rainbow ass shoes and the fucking cream on that. Come on. And then I'm just like, I'm not gonna buy anything. But yeah, I get you, bro. I get you. Question that did you ever did you ever have any battles that almost happened in Canada for my Canadian fans?
I'm trying to think. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. Hold on. I gotta.
And all right, yeah. So any battles in Canada that you can think of that you had in the works from back in the day?
Man, it's hard to say.
I'll throw out some names. Like a one would have maybe been HFK way back in the day or something. Like I'm trying to think stuff that the owners would have tried to do.
No, I feel like there was a possibility that I was gonna battle Arcane and Pat Stay early on. And I don't remember who offered it to me, but you know it's funny at the time. I thought I didn't want to battle. I didn't want to battle Arcane because I felt like he was too similar to me. Like we were just like a couple of wiggers, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't really want to battle this white dude who is, you know, like it was too much of a. I never really watched his battles though. I just basing it on what he fucking looks like because am I gonna make fun of this dude or not? You know what I'm saying? And I was hella picky. I was probably too picky because that would have been a good battle. And I think I even wrote some shit and then it was like scrapped it. Like, I don't feel like doing it. But the Pat Stay one, I don't remember who offered it to me or somebody suggested it, but it was, the event was like on my birthday or my daughter's birthday or something.
Mm.
And they already knew when the event was going to be. And I was like, I'm not fucking going to do that. And, but I started like watching Pat Stay's blogs and battles and shit. And I was like, I will fucking roast this dude because I didn't like him. I didn't fucking, for whatever reason, I didn't like him. Like to me, he was just hella corny. He's like in my top 3 now. I fucking love the dude. But back then, I was, you know, I didn't know none of these Canadian dudes at all. Like I didn't know none of them. I was more like paying attention to the England shit. But never happened. I wish I battled both of them really because it would have been probably at that time would have been huge. The only other battle that they ever offered me was fucking Uno Lavos like 1,000 times.
Nah.
And if you've ever watched the Dirtbag Dan show, you've seen me roast Uno Lavos 1,000 fucking times because when he first came out, like he had like two battles and it was fucking hilarious. And then he started oversaturating himself, like to the point of no return, you know. And I told him, like, don't fucking do that shit. And he's like, but then here I am, I don't do no battles, right? So who am I to fucking, you know, whatever. And then they just kept trying to fucking give me the battle of Uno Lavos. And I'm like, dude, at that point I was beefing with Uno Lavos. So then they really wanted me to battle Uno Lavos. And I'm like, dude, I just don't like, I don't want to fucking battle him. Like he's fucking annoying to me. Like that's not something that I felt was going to do any good for me. As much as I want to roast the dude. I mean, I roasted him in person a couple times, but I wasn't going to take the time to write for the shit. And even Madness battled him and he just wanted to, because he wanted to, like he really wanted to hurt the dude in a battle. Like he really thought that he could go in with like a non-comedic performance and really roast the dude. And everybody told him don't do it. Because that's not what people want to see. People want to see funny Madness and all this shit, right? And it didn't really work out. I mean, I watched the battle back and I still think that Tony won, but at that time, what people wanted and expected was not that. So they offered me Uno Lavos like 100 fucking times, bro. And I'm never going to fucking take it. And they offered me at the Vendetta battle when Cannabis battled Disaster, they offered me FLO. And I'm like, that's my fucking homie. But they don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've battled him 100 times at fucking Tourette's Without Regrets, and I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna. I don't care. I don't care if Cannabis and Disaster are battling. Like, it's a big card. It's a big card, and I was like, I'm not gonna battle FLO. In hindsight, I should have battled him because Uno Lavos battled him instead, and it would have been fucking incredible. But at the same time, I was there chilling, drinking, spectating, watching the shit. I might not have ever done that, reenactment video had I been focused on,
which to me is like one of the best like top 10 battles of all time.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm just like, in hindsight, I don't really give a fuck. But they never really offered me nothing else.
Yeah,
they never really offered me shit. I'd have to actually hit them up and be like, well, who could I battle?
I think it's because at that point people were like begging to battle, and you had people like, that's the thing with me, bro. I started out as a big Uno fan myself with the first two battles. I remember the biggest one was when he like he had these lines. It was in the upstate New York division. That's what I remember him from. But yeah, then he oversaturated himself, and then he was battling all the time, and I just wasn't a fan anymore. Like I never understood why he had such a long run with Don't Flop. I guess the English people liked his humor and shit. But yeah, like, and that sucked when it happened with Madness battling him and taking the approach, and even Johnny Storm. Like I thought Storm was going to kill him too, and then like they just didn't take the approach that they should have taken against him.
But the motherfucker's legacy is gone, bro.
Oh, gone. Like so gone.
You don't have one. It's like he never existed, and he did 200 fucking battles.
I think that's a perfect point, right? To say, like, that he's not, and it's that type of comedy was only going to be good for a bit. You know what I mean? People like he was never going to last with that.
Yeah, it's just crazy, like how back then. And you got to also understand too, like when I was doing, and I always said, I don't charge, I'm not gonna, like, if I go to Canada, just pay for my plane ticket, like I'm not one of these dudes that's like, oh, I'm worth this much or none of that shit. Like I would want to go out there just to kick it. You know what I'm saying? And the battle, like I said, the battle will be a small portion of that. But at the time, everybody kind of knew how much of a shit I did not give. Like everybody knew I was an asshole. Everybody knew, like, I was making fucking memes about everybody. I was making fun of everybody. I was clowning everybody, bro. Like, so a lot of people took that to heart. A lot of people, it's like, if it's in a battle, it's okay. But if it's outside of the battle, I'm an asshole, right? At the end of the day, everybody is pretty much is a big fat vagina. And they can't fucking, put their big boy pants on and network, and that's a long time ago, right, too. So I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but I think that they just weren't ready for, just somebody to just be real about this shit. Like, I still don't really give a fuck about battle rap, and people, as good as people think I am, or people put me in their top 5 or whatever it is, it's like I never really, like, I was always a rapper first. Like, I'd always rather be in the fucking studio, recording some shit or fucking, making music than I would ever be to write raps about another man. So if I did it, it would be to go kick it with the homies or get a vacation, but still I would do it. I would still do it if the opponent was right. I would do it for free. But I think I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way early on when they weren't really prepared for that type of shit. And I'm talking about like 2010 when everybody was just getting into it. Mm-hmm. But then there are certain people who appreciated it. Like HFK, for example, and he hit me up like, hey, let's do a song. So we did a couple songs together. Like there's certain people here and there to where I built relationships with them and never even met the motherfucker. Or then I'll see him at an event and it's like we've been homies for hella years. But back then I was fucking talking shit to everybody. I didn't give a fuck. And then I made the diss song to PH, Uno Lavos, and Big Mac. And like, who the fuck is this Frank? A lot of people, who the fuck is this Frank Stacks guy? Fucking, because the shit slapped. And it was like,
it was awesome. That was going to be the next question. So I'm glad you talked about it. You got to go on.
Yeah, it was like, not many people in the community were making diss records. You know what I'm saying? And especially out of nowhere, like the way I did it. And the shit fucking slapped. I even had a line on the record that was like, fuck battling. Here's something you could slap in the whip and that you could ride to. You know what I mean? Like, it's a music. Like, in my opinion, one of the best things or feelings that all people have in the world is being in their car with the music full blast and listening to songs that they love. You're not going to fucking do that shit in your car with a battle. You can't nod your head to a fucking battle. You don't feel it in your bones and shit. You know what I mean? So the flip side of the coin for me was like I do a couple battles, but then I make all this music that people really fucking appreciate. I'd have people from fucking Afghanistan and Iraq and shit hit me up like, yo, your music is saving my life, or people get off of fucking, drug addiction and rehab, like, your fucking music got me through this shit. And I'm like, bro, that shit to me is more important than any fucking battle anywhere, because you feel that shit in your fucking soul. And that's why I made that line in the rap when I'm like, fuck a battle, bro. Like, I'm making a song about you. And Uno Lavos kept saying he was gonna respond back. Never did.
He couldn't rap. He didn't.
I
He
hit him up
wasn't an
recently.
actual
I was like,
rapper.
hey, I was like, bro, it's been 12 years. I'm still waiting for that response. But PH did, and he did it like the next day, which I'm like, yes, And then I seen him at the event where he battled, because I always go to the event, especially if it's around here. He battled Joe Cutter. I think it was Joe Cutter.
Yeah, that was the same one when he was on the Dirtbag Dan show that week. I remember that. That was the day 2 event of like one of the Oakland events. I can't remember the exact name of the event, but I know.
So everybody thought me and him were like beefing and shit still. You know what I'm saying? But like I was kicking it with him with PH at that event. We were having drinks and shit. I don't know if it was the day before or the day after or whatever the fuck it was. I was kicking it with, so we were kicking it. And I'm like, told him like, thank you for fucking responding to that fucking diss, because I didn't think anybody was going to. And he did the next fucking day. I mean, mine was still better, but still, you know what I mean? He did it. And I had people outside of the battle rap community that knew who PH was based on his music. And they're like, yo, this dude PH made a diss song about you. Like, how the fuck, you know what I'm saying? They don't know that there's like a battle thing. You know what I mean? And it was like a big deal to hell of people who don't even really follow battle rap.
Well, I remember it was like even more like intricate too, right? Like, did it involve anything around him and dirt battling as well? Because didn't you release the song around that time?
Yeah, he battled Dirtbag Dan, and he mentioned me in the battle.
Yes.
And then he tried to tell me, that he was giving me props, but I didn't take it like that. So I went right to the studio. Somebody actually called me. I forget who it was. It was, I think, maybe Real Deal, and was like, "Hey, this fool PH was talking shit about you," or some shit. And I was like, "What?" Because PH was like we were hella cool. Like he was a huge fan of mine, and we'd always kick it and chop it up and at all the events and shit. I'm like, so it was kind of weird. It was kind of off for me to see him mention me in a negative way in a battle, even though it was just for the sake of the bar. But once I started thinking about shit to say in a song, I'm not going to not do it. If I come up with a song idea, I'm going to fucking do it, and I'm going to put it out. There's only a handful of songs that I've never released, and it's just because they never got finished fucking mixing or some shit. If I'm going to write a song, it's going to come out. That's why I got fucking 200 songs out there, just because anytime I made something, I just made sure it was mixed good and I fucking put the shit out. So
yeah,
I couldn't undo, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't like not, whether he meant it or not, I had to do the fucking song, and I had to talk shit about Uno Lavos, and I had to mention this full Big Mac. So it was like a whole fucking, I had to fucking put the shit together and put it out. And it was fucking tight. This shit slaps. And it was hell of people downloaded it too. I made it for a download. Hell of people downloaded this shit.
It's good. And like another one, speaking of that, which is funny because like you were mentioned in the Dirt Battle, you did the vlog with Caustic, you've done 2-on-2s with Caustic. And then when Caustic was going to battle Cali Smooth at the Ether event years later, like maybe 5 years later, you took it upon yourself to do a diss to Cali Smooth, which is like kind of a testament to like I kind of find like what we're kind of putting together in this episode too is like friendship is so much bigger than battle rap, but like also like you're there for your friends, like which is cool. It's like I feel like I remember like in the time, because I was such a big fan of the show too, was like Caustic was like, do I do a song back? Do I not? And then you were just like, fuck it, I'll do it. And it was fucking great.
I mean, it just pissed me off so bad because I didn't know who the fuck Cali Smooth. I'm cool. Me and Cali Smooth are cool now. We chopped it up several times since then. But it's just crazy that I got so mad that this dude tried to, do what I did, but to promote himself before the battle happened, to diss Caustic And not only that, but say some stupid shit, in my opinion, on that record. And he
He
did
was
it. He
got
did it.
$5,000 in his bank account or something like that.
He did it on the ether. You know what's funny is I gave Caustic about 1,000 bars for Cali Smooth, and he refused to use any of them. He never would ever use them. People always say, and I've been mentioned in battles hella times. Uh, but I've seen how Caustic writes, and people always say like, "Oh, Caustic, people write for Caustic and shit." Like I've seen how he writes, and I've always tried to give him bars. You just do that. You think it's something to say. Hey, you should say this against so and so, but he never would take the shit that I say. He's like, dude, only you can say the shit that you say. I can't get away with saying that shit like that. Like it doesn't work. Like I'll text him some shit, and he'll be like, dude, I'm not gonna. Come on, bro. It's only funny if you say it, right? So when he did that whole song, when he did that song to Caustic, and it was on the fucking Nas diss towards Jay-Z beat, the Ether beat.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm from the West Coast, bro. So I called my producer, who is from Canada, Triple X Productions, and I was like, I need you to make me a new age hit 'em up beat. And he made like 3 or 4 versions of it, like that. And I picked the one. And at first, I was like, wanted Caustic to get on it with me. You know what I'm saying? But once I started writing it, I was like, I'm just gonna be Tupac and the Outlaws. I was like, I'm just gonna fucking like just, and I just went in the next day and I just did the whole shit. And it was crazy because I think that by the time I put it out, the Battlehead came out. It was like the song came out like right before the event.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I went to the studio and recorded it, the battle was out or it had just dropped. And he had a line in his battle that said, he said, hit him up. I was with Tupac when he wrote it. And I was like, oh my God, this fool like doesn't even know I'm writing a whole song about him. Like on the fucking beat, and I'm about to drop it. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's no way he knew that. And then, so that I said it in the song. After that, I was like, what do you mean you wrote a song for Pac? Or whatever the fuck I said. I was like, I can't believe this fool just like set himself up for that like additional destruction. You know what I'm saying? With this fucking line. But that shit was crazy. That song was fucking.
And it needed to be done too. That's what I think is great. And what I like, what we're kind of coming to conclusion with like these diss tracks you've done is like, it's all made sense and maybe for the greater good of the community too. Because as we say, kudos to Cali now. I know he's in the season right now. He did well against Reverse. But when when he had the bar, name a battle rapper I ain't influenced, I was like, well, you can name a fan that you haven't influenced, because at that point he hadn't established himself yet. You know what I mean? Like that's what was killed me with the false bravado in that song.
Yeah, and there's been people who have told me, even at that point, even at that time, and that's 2014 or something, that that I influenced them, and I never realized how could I have? You know what I'm saying? I've only done 2 or 3 battles or whatever the fuck the case is. But I've accidentally influenced hella people, but I'm not gonna go out and say like, you know what I'm saying, like I'm the king of this shit or fucking name some rappers that I haven't influenced. But like I've learned over the years how many people that I have influenced, and I take that shit as a fucking compliment. You know what I mean? Because shit's got to evolve some way, and whether it's from a comedic standpoint or the way I'm telling jokes or just mannerisms or even from the music itself, like I mentioned earlier, I'll accidentally bite off of a line or something that somebody who I listen to says, and that's just a form of flattery, right? I'm not doing it to be a biter, so I appreciate all that shit if somebody says that. But when he said it, come on, bro, nobody knew who he was, so everybody knew that he didn't influence nobody yet.
Yeah, that's what got me.
But he's a good example of like fake it till you make it, because he was just blasting himself, all over the place for hella long until now. I'm a fan now. You know what I'm saying? If you told me fucking 6 years ago I'd be a fan of his, I'm like, no. Now I'm like, dude, that fool is like, he's fucking dope.
Yeah, no, that's sweet, man. That's it's funny how things work out, right? Like, like as a fan too, because I was a big fan of it all when I was like a teenager and shit. Is like, as a teenager, you're still ignorant and dramatic, so you just want like all the beef and everything, And so, but like when I interview all you guys now, it's just all respect between one another and stuff like that. Whereas when I was a kid, you're just rooting for everyone to hate one another,
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But I fucking love diss tracks. I mean, I love making fun of people, obviously.
Well,
So
and you've done like the things that you've done were on some of the best diss tracks of all time, and your verses have held up against them too, which is awesome.
well, it's like too. It's like now I can sit here and say, "Oh, I'm a fan of so and so," or "I'm a fan of so and so." Like I used to not like Pat Stay, now he's my favorite. You know what I mean? Or I used to hate Cali Smooth, but now I'm a fan of his. Like a lot of people won't even admit that shit. Like you won't admit you're a fan of nobody when you do the
Uh,
same thing as them. You know
and
what I'm
this
saying?
is this is something I was gonna save till after the interview, but you said Triple X Productions. I think that's Pat Stay's friend.
Yeah, he knows Pat.
Yeah, and he's done songs for Pat, and I think he's from
Yeah,
Nova
he has.
Scotia.
His name is Nick. Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
been making my shit for fuck, dude. I mean, I just fucking put out a song. Shit, like last month on one of his beats. He's been making my shit for at least 10 years.
That's fucking crazy, man.
And I found him when I found him. I found him like on a random beat website. Um, that he wasn't doing really much yet, and now he's doing shit. He's got like fucking platinum plaques and fucking
Yeah, that's what killed me. I had to just look it up. I was like, yeah, that's it.
yeah. He makes a lot. He's done shit for everybody, bro. And he's so fucking talented. And he's just he's just like a regular cool ass white dude from Canada. He's just hella skilled. I remember I was talking to him one time because he plays everything. Like he's got like one of these, right? And he plays all the shit. He doesn't like really sequence. I don't know how to explain it. He comes up with the song and plays it, and then he maps it out on the computer. And I asked him if he had any classical, music training, and he was like, "Bro, I don't even know what the fucking notes I'm pushing. I just do what sounds good."
That's insane, man.
That's how you know somebody's super fucking talented, because he just like sits down and just whatever the fuck comes to his mind. He don't know how to read music or none of that shit.
Yeah,
But he knows how to play it because he just knows what sounds good. He's self-taught.
and that's what like I hear from like when you hear of any like crazy musician or producer or engineer, like that's crazy to me because I grew up playing a lot of instruments, like from fucking guitar, piano, cello, violin. Like I played a lot of stuff. So like seeing that from an outside perspective when I tried so hard to learn music, like I remember Scott Storch on Sway in the Morning. Like I didn't know who he was at that point because I was young when all of his music was released, right? And I wasn't like the historian that I am now. When he played the Dre shit and stuff on the piano,
Oh yeah.
it was like one of those moments in your life where you're just like, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah.
And then he admitted, "Yeah, I never had training. Like I'm just like it comes to me." You're like, "How is that a thing?" You know?
It was crazy, bro. Shit is crazy.
So I let's just one thing I'm gonna say before we switch topics is you've influenced a lot. Like any comedic battle rapper is clearly coming from you, right? And you talk about how like you didn't have a lot of stuff. This isn't saying that you're gonna die young or anything, but maybe like you're like the Mitch Hedberg of this shit or something. Whereas like not a crazy amount of performances, but your favorite's favorite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot about too, is that it's like almost how do you say it, like it's almost good. It's like the legacy is there regardless of what I do next, almost whether I live or die or do more or less. Like it's already like fucking there. And it's not like a lot of the new fans might not know who I am, but that doesn't really matter to me. You know what I'm saying? But I will add that before I knew Madness, I used to watch the WRCs, and he was my favorite motherfucker on the WRCs. And like I mentioned earlier in the battle or in the interview, when I battled before, I never battled funny. I just rap. So even when I battled S Rock, like I said, I was like mad when I did it. I wasn't trying to be hella funny, but the shit that I was saying, like it rhymed, so I said it and it was funny and it made everybody laugh. But I wasn't doing it in like a. If you go watch it back, I'm not really having comedic timing or doing none of that shit. But also, I had never battled without a mic in my hand with no beat before. Never, not even fucking for fun. So, unless it was on the corner, but there's usually music fucking playing. You know what I'm saying? There's usually like a beat on back then. So when I had to battle S Rock, I had never rapped like that before. That whole like how you could stop and pause because there's no fucking beat. Like I wasn't used to that. So I accidentally created my battle character in that battle. So then I had to emulate that kind of persona every time I did another fucking battle. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't never trying to be funny. But when I watched Madness's shit, he was fucking hilarious to me, right? So I might have accidentally, got some shit from him when I had to do the fucking S-Rock shit. But yeah, I was a huge fan of Madness. Obviously, like I talk to him every day, still is my boy, right? But
I was gonna say from fan to best friend, like that's
yeah,
crazy.
it's like just the way that everything worked out. It's like I never would have thought, because when I make a song, and it's not the same dude as in the battle. Like I'm rapping. You know what I mean? But the battle's a whole different. Like you hear a lot of rappers and they can spit mixtape bars in a battle. I can't fucking do that because it's not going to be Frank Stacks that in the fucking battle. So I think I got lucky from Lushone forcing me to do that. And then the little bit of subconscious shit I had got watching like Madness at the WRCs and all that kind of shit to kind of create that that person, which became a comedic, I became a funny rapper, which is fucking, makes sense because the rap is a joke shit started at the exact same time. Like we had just created it when I did that S-Rock battle. So it's just like weird how everything kind of fell in place.
Man, it's a wild ride. Eh? It's pretty crazy to look back at. Let's do some lighthearted ones. Two favorite your two, or not two like all time end all be all, but two off the top of the head favorite stand up performances or comedy specials.
Oh, I can tell you right now. 1995, I think, George Carlin. Fuck, I don't remember the name of it. But I mean, it definitely changed everything for me. I could probably watch that shit right now and tell you every line that was in it, and I remembered it from 25 years ago.
That's how you know it's good.
But George Carlin, nobody is above him in terms of stand up, in my opinion, because he wasn't even trying to be funny. He was just talking about real ass shit in a way, whether it was politics or religion or whatever the fuck he was talking about, and it made hella sense, and it was fucking hilarious when he did it. So there was that one from George Carlin, which was like 1994, 95. And then, I'd have to say, damn. I don't want to go in recent years because that shit didn't have an impact on me as much as I thought it was funny. Maybe Damon Wayans.
There's a different one.
Damon Wayans had a stand-up. It had to be around the same time. It was just fucking hilarious, dude. And he talked about like the OJ trial, and he's super fucking underrated. Like he's one of the funniest motherfuckers to this day still. And if he did a tour, I would go for sure. Damon Wayans is crazy.
I still reference "Don't Be a Menace to the South Central," drinking your juice in the hood. Like dude, it's one of those things that luckily enough, one of my older brothers had as a VHS when I was younger. I've been watching that for so fucking long, man. Like, and then growing up and watching the other movies that they reference, like when you're like, oh, so they were making, they're making fun of.
Yeah, dude. You know who else I would say is nobody knows about in terms of stand-up who was fucking hella funny was fucking Howie Mandel.
Yeah, see, I need to look up his stand-up because you always hear about the respect people have for him, but you never
talks about him. But maybe he didn't do a lot of them or something. He was like me or something. He just did other shit. But he did the voice of Gizmo from Gremlins. He did Skeeter. He did Bobby's World. Like he was doing a whole bunch of other shit too. But his stand-up was fucking top quality shit, and I never heard anybody ever talk about it ever.
I'm gonna have to look some of his shit up. All right, here's another one. This one. Your two favorite shooting guards from the Warriors of all time. I'll give you two because I can't just give you one.
Well, I mean, you can't. They're still on the team.
I mean favorite. I'm not saying best. You don't have anybody else that like a Jay Rich here when he was in the dunk contest, or like a Monte Ellis when he used to wax his hands, or like Kalina Azabuike when he had that breakout year.
I mean, Monte was. I mean, I fucking cried when he left. You know what I'm saying? Like, I loved Monte Ellis, bro. I was so sad when he left. And I remember when I found out that he left, I was at the Warriors game. And that was the day that everybody found out that the trade is happening and we're going to get Bogut. And I was leaving the game, and Simon called me. Dirt Nasty called me, and he's like, "Dude, I'm in Shamble." He's a huge Warriors fan too, and I had drove to the game. It's like 25 minutes from my house or whatever, and we talked the whole way home, and we're just like, "Dude, like this is the end. Like we're never gonna, you know." And this is like what 2012, 13,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, "Dude, it's never gonna be. We're never gonna be good. Like this fucking sucks. Like we're so upset." We talked about it the whole way home. I'm pretty sure we talked about it the whole next day. Um, Not knowing what was going to transpire with Curry and Clay and all the shit that was going to happen. Obviously, who the fuck's going to tell that? Because Monte, everybody loved Monte out here so much. But I would say I wasn't really big on Jay Rich or Baron Davis. The only reason why I really liked them was because I went to all those fucking playoff games that we won when we had the biggest upset of all time against the Mavericks. But as a kid growing up, uh, Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin were like my fucking heroes. You know what I
Run
mean?
DMC, right?
So yeah, it was like Mitch, not as much, but Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin was like, like if I was a kid and I could have got their signatures, like that would have been just everything for me. But so like the in between stages, right? So like when you're a little kid, certain things are more impressionable on you. You know what I'm saying? I got Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, or like my football heroes, and I got Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin. Obviously, everybody liked Michael Jordan, but he's not from here.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like that gap. There's like that period of time, between childhood and adulthood where things don't really affect you as much. I guess I don't know how to say it. Like, because I was already out of high school at this point. When we had when we had Jay Rich and Baron Davis, so we fucking sucked. It wasn't until
I've always loved teams that suck. That's my problem. Is like I was the biggest fan before they were good.
But then they left, and then they both fucking left. The next year. After that shit. So for me, they weren't really a big deal. The things that they did when I was at those games and throughout that year was a big deal, but they didn't stick with me as like all times. Like I put Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway way above them.
Oh, for sure. That's just that era for me, man, was just like, dude, I was even a fan of fucking Troy Murphy and Mike Dunleavy Jr. and shit like that.
Oh yeah, dude, Dunleavy was a fucking man, dude.
Yeah,
he was a fucking man. But again, that was like in that time frame where like I honestly wasn't even paying as much attention. I was like in the studio all the time. I missed hell games. On TV and in person. Like games were cheap, bro. I used to go for $25 to a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, it sucks. Toronto Raptors games cheap, like 300 section, like cheap tickets are like $150-$200 because it's the only game in town, right? So
yeah, no, I don't even know the new Warrior Stadium. The tickets are fucking outrageous. I still haven't even fucking been out there, obviously because of COVID and shit. But I went to the last game. I went to Game 6 against Toronto at Oracle.
Shit.
And even though the Toronto Raptors won, like I went down to the floor and just it was the last game ever that was ever going to be there. And I'd been going to games there for 35 years or whatever the fuck it was at that point since I was a baby. And like it was just an unbelievable feeling to be down there. Even though we lost, I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to kick it with Meta World Peace. Like what the fuck was he doing there? Like I was just like doing all the shit on the floor, just like watching the Raptors celebrate and like just an unbelievable experience. I'm so glad that I got to go to that last. Like I don't even want to go to a game at the new stadium. Like I'm just like I feel like it was like an end of an era, but season's about to start, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You guys are looking pretty good this year. Like dude, we're lucky as Toronto. Like I say as a fan, it doesn't matter about injuries in the finals, but I just say one team gets lucky. So we are so lucky because I feel like if you guys had either had Clay or KD, we wouldn't have. You know what I mean? Like. When KD started that one game and threw up like 16 in the first quarter or something, like I was like, fuck.
Yeah, dude. But we all knew he was going to leave too, win or lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we all kind of knew it.
Question on that, because we were talking about when Monte left, right? And as me too, I was like, what the fuck, bro? Monte's like Golden State. But like, did you guys know? Like, when did it come to mind that you were gonna have the team of the future?
I mean, you always get your fucking hopes up. you always try to in your mind say, "Oh, these guys can pull it off." You know what I mean? But Bogut was a fucking savage, and to this day, I feel like Bogut and David Lee too, dude. I can't forget about David Lee because he was like, I was man, I was.
I've been
I
a
fucking
fan.
love
Even
David
when
Lee.
even when he played with New York, I like David Lee. He was in the
Yeah, he
he
was
was a
always a
good
great dude,
yeah.
and it was a big deal when we got him. But once Bogut was healthy, and you could see him calling the shots when he was on the floor. Like he was calling the plays. Like it wasn't Curry calling the plays. Once Bogut was on the floor and healthy with these dudes, he was putting that fucking team together. And he was like almost like the muscle too. He was like the brains and the muscle. Because you could tell a lot of the plays revolved around him facilitating, which we haven't had a center that does that since him. We haven't had that. And like I could sit here and talk about that shit forever. But you could tell Bogut was like the fucking captain. And then he would go up against DeAndre Jordan and all these other dudes and be like, I'm not fucking scared of you. You know what I mean? And it was like we needed that. And every Christmas we got the Warriors and the Clippers, and it was like we were shutting their shit down. And it was just like I'm like a kid in the candy store, every year when we would get that shit when we had Bogut. So that first year, I went to all those playoff games we played against the Nuggets and the Spurs when we had Bogut, and Curry was scoring like 30 points in the third, and all this crazy shit was going on. It felt like we could really take it all the way. And obviously the Spurs knocked us out in the second round, but we had David Lee and Bogut, and everybody was just coming. They were just getting real ripe in terms of all their skill sets working together. And we got into the second round, and after that year, it was like, damn, I think we could, we could probably take it. And I think we lost to the Clippers in the second round that year, but then they fired Mark Jackson and they got, Kerr, and the rest is fucking history.
Yeah, you lucky fucker, man.
Well, I got all the shit. I got all this Warrior shit all on my shit up here.
Oh damn, eh? I like that, man. That's it. I think that was a big thing. Is like, because I think when me and you, I remember I commented on one of your things in 2019, and you were like, "Oh, Raptors bandwagon, right?" But then like I delved into you about like I was a fan of Azubuike and shit. Yeah, that's when you realize, because I hated it too. I hate like I was out of the NBA from like when LeBron went to the Heat until Golden State started their run, because I just couldn't stand like Chris Bosh leaving, LeBron joining Dwayne's team. Like I hated that as a fan. And so when I got back into it, and then like I still like learned quickly who everybody was. You'd have chicks coming up and saying, "I'm a fan of Curry," and I'm like, "Name their other starting four."
Yeah. No, I went to a work conference in 2016. So they had already won one championship, and I got my Klay Thompson jersey. It's the only jersey I have is Klay Thompson. He's my favorite player.
Mm-hmm. He's amazing.
People who say I look like the fat Klay Thompson all the time, which is fucking hilarious. I'll take it. But and I'm with a bunch of like business professionals and shit. I'm at this like business conference, and I go downstairs to like get some food or something. There's a bunch of dudes in suits, and they're like, they said something, and I'm like fucking Warriors hat, Klay shirt on. I think it was actually during the first round of the playoffs, and there was like a big bar downstairs, and these dudes said some shit to me about how's that bandwagon feel, and like I'm not supposed to say mean things to these people because it was at a fucking work conference, and I was like, dude, I'll fuck you up, and they were just like, what? But like it was like an instinct, like to say that, you know what I'm saying? Like I probably got fired for that shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, but I'll fuck you up right now. Like that's how fucking that's how much not a bandwagon fan I am, you fucking faggot. I will fuck you up. And you're a bandwagon wagon. And I'm just like, and I'm like, dude, I'm from fucking right next to Oakland, bro. I've been going to Warriors games since I was in diapers. Like, fuck you. Like that shit is offensive. So if you're not a bandwagon fan and you've been around and somebody calls you a bandwagon fan, it's the worst shit ever. Cause it's like, you don't fucking know how long I've been a fan of this shit.
Yeah. Oh, dude, when because that happened in like Canada, and like I got so mad because it happened to me a few times. I'm like, motherfucker, I went through so many losing years. You know how many Raptors games I went to where we were up all three quarters and then just fucking did Nate Robinson scored 25 on us with New York Knicks in the fourth quarter? Come on. Like Nate Robinson doesn't score 25 on everybody, you know? Like,
well, the thing too with the Warriors, it's like you already have the Clippers and LA, and then you also got the Kings. And the Warriors fucking sucked. The Warriors sucked forever. Everybody up here was a fucking Lakers fan, especially when they had Kobe. Everybody I met was a fucking Lakers fan. They still weren't even fucking Warriors fans from people from here. So it fucking blew my mind, you know, once the Warriors got like they became one of those like the Cowboys or the fucking New York Yankees or some shit where everybody now is a fucking Warriors fan, just like how everybody was a Bulls fan or a Michael Jordan fan. So for me, it's like I was a fan. And me and Dirt Nasty joke about this shit all the time. It's like we almost like it better when they suck, because then we're just always hoping and being like a normal fan again. That second year that we had KD, I barely watched any games because I was like, we're gonna fucking win anyways. Like it was just, it's not the same type of fun, you know what I mean? Unless you're a bandwagon fan and then you're just trying to learn and be cool and be fucking, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the game, and like, you know, you got all these assholes going to the games, never been to games before. But when you have a team that is not like so globally accepted and liked, like the Warriors were, and they sucked so bad for so long, and you're a fan of that shit, and then all of a sudden everybody's a fan, it's crazy. It was like, it's so weird. It's still fucking weird.
I can't imagine. See, as a Toronto Raptors fan, I feel like I was blessed and cursed because I think that's a Toronto fan, like in a tangent. Like, yeah, we won a championship, but that's all we fucking got. You know what I mean? Like, there is no chance for us to go for two. Like, we knew the whole time Kawhi was leaving, you know? Like, I'm just lucky we got the one, man. Like,
oh, dude, here's a fun fact. So in 2014, the Warriors, we kept losing in the playoffs, right? We've been losing in the playoffs. But on paper, I'm like looking at it on paper. I'm like, we got Iguodala, you know, we got Bogut. I'm looking on paper and I'm like, you know, I don't think I just had a feeling that we were going to win. And, you know, whatever my hopes and dreams of thinking this is going to be the year, I never make any bets on sports, never. And I bet it was like 30-1 odds that they win the finals, and 25-1 odds, or 30-1 odds they win the finals, 25-1 odds that they win the Western Conference Finals, something like that. And I bet like $400 on each, like a year before. So we hadn't even done summer league yet, and I already as soon as you could place a bet, I placed a bet, and everybody's telling me you're a fucking idiot, your money's gone, right? Anyways, long story short, I won like $15,000 because they ended up fucking winning the shit. It was like 30-1 odds. And then even my dad's like, you're an idiot. Why would you place a bet so big? And I'm like, it's only like fucking $800. I'm like, you know, if they win, I mean, you know. And then by the time they came close, you know, they started killing it. Everybody's like, damn, you should have told me you placed that bet. I would have bet with you. I'm like, no, you would not have.
Yeah, they're saying that now.
I placed that bet before. Like, there's no way anybody would have thought that was a smart bet because it was fucking like 30-1 odds or some shit. Like, nobody thought they were going to fucking win. Damn, but yeah, bro. I won that fucking bet and I blew all that money.
But hey, I think that just is a testament to how big of a fucking fan you are to have that much faith.
I literally was like looking at all the teams on paper, and I'm like, the only team that stood a chance was the Spurs. And I was like, they're getting old though. You know what I'm saying? That was like my mindset. I'm like, they're getting old though. And sure enough, we fucking took the whole shit that year. I remember I was running up and down the street fucking. As soon as they won, I was like, fucking nobody knew where I went. I'd fucking bounce. I was like, I just won $15,000, motherfucker.
Yeah. Ain't gonna see you for a while.
I don't make bets like that. I'll go to the casino and gamble and shit. I don't make bets that I gotta sit and wait on. I don't like doing that. I don't like making sports book bets. I actually had to give my brother the money to make the bet for me. So I didn't even know how to fucking make the bet.
Yeah.
So I had to pay him and then he had to fucking pay me. It was a fucking whole ordeal.
Was he trying to be like, can I hold a little bit? Because
he actually matched. He actually was the only person that matched me. So he was like, all right, so you put this much, I'll put.
Shit. So your brother, he must have loved you that day. Fuck. Yeah. That's hilarious, man. Yeah. So right now, before we end, I want to talk about the music that you've been releasing lately. And you said you're putting together a project.
Yeah. So I recorded right before COVID, I recorded a whole 15 songs, and I had kind of mapped it out. And I'm hella picky, bro, with beats and shit. Like, so
well, your beats are amazing. Yeah.
Triple X Productions did a few of them. I got a couple other people, but like no exaggeration. I probably listened to 1,000 beats before I picked 15.
That's wild.
I actually probably picked like 30 and then wrote 15 songs. Um, but it was supposed to be Rap as a Joke. It was supposed to be a new Rap as a Joke album. And I had started writing some verses and leaving some verses open, and you know, I had some songs that I had just written just for me, but I didn't know if I was going to use them for Rap as a Joke. And then like we wanted to do like a Trap as a Joke, almost like a type of thing. And we had a few songs that we were working on for that. But then uh, El Money had a bunch of people at the studio, and they were all working on some other shit, and they were all like partying and stuff. And then the next day, I had the studio booked for us, but he lost his voice. He was hungover. He was feeling like shit. But there was hell of people at the studio still, and they were all expecting us to they were gonna like watch us record or something. Um, Mostly all other rappers like from all over the place, like just that we knew. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna waste this studio time, so I'm gonna just start recording everything that I got. So I just started going in there and just knocking shit out. And fools were like blown away, but I had already had all these songs like written and memorized. So I just go in there and fucking and do it and be like, all right, do the next one. And there was a couple dudes in there who were like, damn, this shit's tight. Can I write a verse? And I'll be like, all right, fuck it. And so like that, the album kind of came together like that. Like it was like I knew what beats I wanted. I knew I had already written at least one verse for every song, and I just started knocking this shit out. A couple of my homies were there; they jumped on it, and just slowly started putting this album together, which became the Stackavelli album. And it's just Stackavelli because I've always wanted to do a Stackavelli album. There's a few references in some of the songs, Tupac references. Obviously, Tupac's my favorite rapper, but I've just always joked about or talked about doing a Stackavelli, at least a mixtape or an album. So I had the artwork from this dude Class Watch, who he did a lot of our other artwork too. He did a lot of our parody shit. He's done shit for other rappers. He drew pictures of O'Shea and like all kind of motherfuckers. And he did the artwork it was actually his idea for the cover, which is it's like a me, but as Tupac doing like spitting at the camera thing. So he came up with that on his own, and I was like, fuck it, that's the cover. I used the font, the same font from Machiavelli, which I'm pretty sure is called Crack House, but I used the same font, and then it was just easy. And then I decided, instead of like putting the album out, like I normally would, since I haven't done a solo album or anything solo in fucking 16 years or 15 years or whatever, that I was just gonna drop one song every couple months and just like leak it out. So all the songs have been done, mixed and mastered. I think I got like 6 more to release, and yeah, people are fucking loving it, dude. Because there's only like 1 or 2 funny songs on the album, so I haven't done any real serious shit in 10 years.
Oh, bro, for people listening, I'm gonna link the songs he's released so far in the description of the episode. But yeah, like I told Frank the other day, I was listening to one song and I was like, it has the vibe of like the end of a Coach Carter or Freedom Riders. Like when Frank makes music, it's fucking music. Like that's the thing. That's so funny. Is like he's talking about how he's not the biggest in the know for rap fan. Like he doesn't have to care about Jay-Z, or he's not aware of who Jay Dilla made songs for. But you can see how much he fucking loves music when you listen to his music. It's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Because I mean, we did comedy shit for so long, but at the end of the day, like I just like to fucking rap, and I like to rap on music. I like live instruments. I like all that shit. So
well, and the music's very melodic, I find, especially with the new songs that I was listening to. Very much so. Is like I kind of find this could be just me guessing, but Tupac's one of my favorites of all time for sure too. And I find what Tupac did, and what I argue with a lot of people, is even though he has some of the best hooks of all time on all of his songs. Not saying that it was him doing the hooks, but like the hooks really work into the song amazingly. And I find that with the the songs that I've had on this new project so far.
Well, a big thing for me is like, if you're gonna make a song, like it's gotta be conceptually, like it's gotta all be there conceptually. The verse has to make sense into the hook. The hook has to be about the song. The next verse has to come out of the hook. It's like it's got to be all about one thing. Where a lot of motherfuckers just go in there and just fucking rap, rap about rap or whatever the fuck,
Yeah. Hey, so people trying to listen to an Eminem verse in 2021.
Yeah, it's like if I'm gonna make a song about something. The whole fucking song has to be about that, or it at least has to be entertaining to some level, to where it flows, like the whole thing flows. Um, so that's always been a big, a big part of it for me.
Yeah, man. No, it's, like, as I said, like, I've been a fan from the comedy to the battling to the music itself and just you as a person, man. So, like, what I'm trying to, I think people will get a lot of that from this episode, man. And I just want to say thank you for being on, bro. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, there's so the rabbit hole that I've created over the years. Even if, like I said, even if it closes tomorrow, I mean, it just goes. I mean, it's infinite, and it's a
Bro,
little bit of everything. But at the end of the day, if I had to choose one thing to do, it'd be just making good music. Like not even necessarily funny shit. There's gonna be a little bit of humor in it, but um, I just like to conceptualize and not to be corny, but paint pictures with shit, on record, and that shit fucking lives forever. Like I said, you can listen to it in your car, fucking feel it, headphones, all that shit. But there's a lot of funny stuff too. So you can't, you got it's the yin yang is there for everybody. You know
well,
what
I
I mean?
say with music, bro, music is like very emotion based. Like, if you need to laugh, you can laugh. If you need to fuck, you can fuck. If you need to
Yeah.
cry, you can cry. If you need a fucking headbang, you can headbang,
Yep.
any of them, right?
And that's another thing too. Like when I made these albums, like I did the album with Tony with Madness, and it was, for the most part, it was a serious album. But there's a little bit of something for everybody on there.
Mad
There's,
Stacks, right?
yeah, Mad Stacks. Like
Yeah.
there's a couple sad songs. There's a couple, really crazy hardcore songs. There's a couple lyrical songs. There's a couple funny songs. There's a little bit of something for everybody. And that whole album, by the way, was produced by Triple X Productions. The whole album.
It's just as a
You would
spinning
never
ball.
know. You would never know because every song sounds so different. It sounds like a different producer, but it's the same fucking guy. And we must have went through 200 of his beats to pick those 15 or whatever it was, and the motherfucker's so talented. We ended up having to use all of his beats because we had something for all of them.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Well, fuck, man. I'm gonna link everything. Everybody, other than the links that I share, check out Rap is a Joke on YouTube. Listen to Frank on Spotify. Follow him on Instagram, Twitter. Ask him to sign your tits, whatever you want.
Hey, the website is dope as fuck.
The website rapisjoke.com. Yeah. And
yeah,
then,
I don't know if you've gone to the new one, but it's the website's fucking sick, bro.
and we're gonna link that one as well in the description too, man. What I want to do is just promote everything with Frank and Frank Zacks and the Oakland A's too. Come on, yeah. All right, but yeah, Frank, sorry, man. Once again, thank you so much for being on. And anything else before we end the episode, buddy?
That's it, bro. Appreciate you, and appreciate anybody who listens or takes the time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. And thanks y'all for listening. Keep in tune. We're gonna just keep getting legend after legend.